We can start. It took me 32 years to find these bitches' names.
Oh Lord, this was a lot of research we had to do.
database
for this. This is not even a Crimson report.
No, right?
Yes, that's right.
This is a lot of. Well, you know, we're the Crimson Fujoshis, so you know we're just. And if it's for BL, we are up all night.
We are up all night.
We will do the research. We will call our judges from other states to be like, hey, Jister, I need to know this very specific manga panel that has this boy, and they're like, here we go. Tsunome Kanase. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, sister.
Yes.
You will never believe.
Sister.
You'll never believe how many more yaoi mangas I brought today. I stole like 3 of them from this old lady. She thought she was going to beat me to the sale. She thought she was going to pick up all the new series, but I said... Excuse me.
No, ma'am.
Right. So I
was here first.
I got the Pocky. I got the manga. Let's judge.
And let's judge. So what series are we reviewing today?
Okay, so you know, much like us, Fujoshis in training, in mastery, in all the things. So we picked up the series, and I picked this one out for us to read, and it's called 10 Count. And you know, you read it in 32 seconds.
32 seconds.
And I had to take 32 hours. So
oh no.
Because it takes me a little while.
It's okay.
So I finally finished. I rushed back over here.
Excellent, excellent.
Brought all the snacks, and we're gonna discuss. So tell me, what was your first impressions when I told you, "Ooh, let's read 10 Count"?
Well, I think that going into a new series, especially any kind of BL series, the story can really go anywhere, and sometimes it can take like a very like silly and like fun approach. Like there was one I was watching and reading where it was like about actors.
Oh yes, we're gonna
actors,
talk about that one too.
We love that one, but in this one, it kind of takes on a little bit more of like a grounded, serious topic, sort of. Where I was like, okay, I don't know where this is gonna go, and especially in like the first like intro, like where we get the the main characters have a fateful meeting through a terrible accident.
Right.
But it's like upon meeting each other, it's like he already noticed that he had gloves and was like, you have the thing. And it's like, damn.
Very observant. So let me state so for this series, we have one of our protagonists, which is Shiro. Basically, we're gonna nickname them because these names, girl. We spent 13 hours researching in the database. So we have Shiro over here, who basically has like
mesothelioma.
She remembered, because I was about to say germophobia, girl.
It's definitely not mesothelioma,
she
but
don't like to touch.
Yeah, she has this aversion of all the things. Like, you can't touch her stuff. She don't want to touch your stuff. She can't even touch the utensils at the restaurant or even open the door.
Right. And then we have our other protagonist, which is Kuro, which is basically the top.
The top. He is I forgot his occupation, a psychiatrist?
He worked in the hospital.
He worked at a clinic.
Yes. But
with children.
But he was very like the young, like, I'm 24 and I have it all together and I'm almost done with my mastery. I'm like, okay. Very confidant.
We love that.
So they have this fateful meeting, and as soon as me and you, let me tell you something. Me and her reading 4 pages, we know the dichotomy, we know what's gonna happen, we know the struggles.
Listen, the gays, and I'm talking about.
So we see that a lot of the interaction that they have, we can tell that Kuro is very confident, very outgoing, very blunt, and she loves to fuck with Shiro.
She does the pageant trick.
Like, one thing about it,
she's like, listen, this is one of those dudes that like will look at you and like has you all figured out.
Girl, like the scene when they were like going into like a coffee shop and then the girls are all shocked and he like leans in to do a little kid. We see you, Miss Thing. Excuse me.
We see you, Miss Thing.
Hey.
Weird to know you're hypnotized.
So, up until this point in the story, we can basically tell that Kuro's like, he knows there's something there with Shiro, but like, she was like, no, I just like love stuff. But we're like, girl's gonna take 2 pages.
Especially when it's like, oh, so what are the 10 things that we can do to overcome your phobia?
Right.
But then it's like, why are you even helping me? Like, first of all, he's a doctor, so he's got, no time and this is freely happening, no compensation whatsoever. So it's like, why are you even going this far for me? Like I'm technically a stranger to you. And he's like, well, I'll tell you my reason after you write the 10th reason on 10th thing you want to accomplish. And we all know what the 10th thing is.
Well, but they don't tell us.
They don't tell us,
but we already here. So I like it when there's the subtle images of like you can see Shiro start opening up, and like when you can see panels where he's clearly like letting himself being touched and everything.
He's like opening himself up to some kind of treatment.
Good detail. I love that every time we saw his hands, they were always bruised.
Always fucked up. I was just waiting for the day when his hands were not looking like that no more, and I was like, well, I guess never.
And like when he would let Kuro hug him in certain situations, like
for me, it was all the times where like, yes, we can argue that Mr. Kuro was very forward,
yes,
and some of these things would not fly in real life, but I also can't help but appreciate like him kind of taking his comforts into consideration, like, here, let me wrap you up with my jacket,
yes,
and then hug you so that you don't have a freaking panic attack, or like, let me put my jacket on the bed so that you can feel like you're in some sort of sense of control of like your environment,
which is good attention to detail and good character writing in my opinion, because you're not rushing into the scene.
You're not rushing, exactly,
which is good. So that brings up a good point, because this scene we're going to talk about right now is the scene where Kuro starts to kiss his hand. And let me tell you, as a yaoi connoisseur, expert, when I particularly saw the black and the thing, I'm like, let me tell you how he thinks he's garbage. And it's not that he's not scared of touching other people. He thinks that they might contaminate him. He thinks he's the contamination. Already hooked. I was like, excuse me, Team Shiro, Team Kuro, what's going on? All the things.
Go.
I like it when he was licking his hands and he kind of like Shiro wanted to pull away, but Kuro made it like a point to be like, I'm doing this because I want to. So it's like,
because he was saying like, oh, if you keep contaminating yourself by like doing this, you're gonna die. And he's like, well, then let me die.
When he said that, I was like, oh my god,
get me together.
Give me fucking Junjo Romantica so I can burn that and replace it with Tengu.
Right.
Already, it's giving me it's so like, it goes beyond the BL of being fluff. I like you. We're boyfriends. This is like, no, sister, I know you're dying. I know.
Right.
And then we get a little, when I saw the flashback to a certain flashback to the story, I also started doing a little hypothesizing, because whenever they show a parent, like abuse, who abused you, girl? So I'm already like, I signed the character.
I know, I was already like side-eyeing the dad the whole time,
because
being like, what did you do? What did you say, you fucker?
Everybody getting their ass whooped today. Everybody over in that party is getting their ass whooped today.
You terrible cretin. And then when he picks him up, listen, Kuro always knows that he can do whatever the fuck he wants to Shiro, because ain't shit happen.
He knows, exactly.
Ain't shit happen. This bitch is not gonna do shit to me, because, okay, a little problematic, but when characters set the arc of like, I'm doing this because I know I can, it's like, okay.
Hold up now.
Right, like, just because it's written for you plot armor, it doesn't mean all the time.
Oh, right.
So again, a lot of the scenes, and it's such an indicator too when we keep reading, and especially in volume 2 around chapter 11, where you see the blackness spread out. It's like,
oh yeah, the corruption starts seeping through, and I'm like, yes. A very specific scene that happens where he like runs away into a bathroom was also one of my faves.
Oh,
because that's when I'm just like, yeah, girl, you're about to do it there in one of the most dirtiest places.
So throughout the story, we just see like it's Kuro constantly trying and prying. But we still see that it's always succeeding, because throughout the story, you don't see Shiro do nothing with anybody else, but Kuro's always on top of her.
And he tries, because there was a moment where like Kuro was like, oh, so you're doing fine with other people, I guess like I'm not needed anymore, because Kuro has his own problems.
Let me tell you, when I read that, because I knew this, my sister had already finished reading that book, but it was hour 16 and I had just got to that scene. I knew, I was like, oh, I know. She's like, yes,
because
yes,
he's
you
very
see,
much
suffer,
like, all right,
suffer.
well, you don't need me no more, so I guess like this is our last handshake, our first and last goodbye, or whatever the fuck. And he's like, And he literally fell apart afterwards. And he's like, actually, you know, because he called out, he didn't even call out work. He just straight up vanished. And it took his friend having to hunt down his phone number for him to call Kuro and be like, hey, so Shiro hasn't come to work in 2 days. We can't get a hold of him.
And
he
she was
might
like,
be
I'm
dead.
on it. I'm on it. I will find my sister. I wanted to judge one in chapter 14. It was a really cute moment when he was like, I'm not going to let you go. And then he's like, please let me go. And he's like, wait, weren't you going to say that you like me? I don't like you. Big shit. Team Shiro. Back on Team Shiro.
Shiro.
I love a problematic, like, I love you, but I don't love you, but I love you, but I don't love you. Leave me alone. Oh my God.
I love a stubborn bottom.
どっこいどっこいってとこかしらね。
I love it when they are basically like they going through that metamorphosis of change. So they're like doing instinctively. It's like, no, tell him no, so he'll get away from you. But you sitting on her,
Right? Like you're sitting on her. You're telling him to go away while holding on to him tightly.
So it's kind of like,
But you know what though? I can understand where she was coming from because Riku is definitely. Oh, sorry, I said his first name.
Come on, Riku.
Fucking Kuro is very much like, I already know. So it's like, imagine a know-it-all telling you, like, I already know you love me, so why don't you just fucking say it? And it's like, you know what? Fuck you. I hate you, bitch.
Team Shiro. I don't like nobody. Okay, a really quick moment in chapter 18, page 31. Not cupping her coochie. Just
rubbing all up on that Bucci cat. Love it.
Excuse me. And then in the next page, basically, I love when Shiro's just out of control. It's like, please, please, please. Oh my God.
No.
Do not do this to me.
Do not do this to me.
Like, it's very much a like, okay, we see where this is going. We see the attempts.
Yeah, it is also very much like not somebody's fear of being debauched, but very much like, girl, someone's trying to bust me wide open, and no one's ever done that before.
Excuse me, I am. So we appreciate the other scenes, like you see that he tries to shove a little toy in her. I'm like, okay, come on.
He's embarrassed.
Just blah blah blah. And then we get to the 18-hour part of this conversation. Her backstory. Shiro's backstory. I'm going to be difficult. So let me say a little piece and then you can finish it out. So basically, the backstory begins, and the source of all this trauma is because as a child, he really admired his dad. He had a close relationship with his dad. I don't think we see why he doesn't have a mom.
He's a daddy's boy. Regardless of what happens to the mom, it's like
he's just dad.
Yeah, and he's an only child. So it's like, that's the only
so
attachment.
you're not like, oh my God, my dad. Mm-hmm. So then she has, then Shiro has a student or somebody is coming by the house.
Right, so what it is the dad is actually a teacher at a cram school. So there's different students from different places that go to this cram school. And she's a high school student from a random school. Mm-hmm. And at this time, Shiro's in elementary school.
Mm-hmm. And then they basically let us know, like, there was one specific... You can already tell by the writing that this girl is looking at him like, you are in my way of getting this fucking teacher. Like, you can see all of, like, the vindictive, sly little comments, the fake... We love when we can smell the fake, like, the stank girl of the BL.
Shut up!
Right.
The bitch of the BL, the, like...
The bitchy...
the...
And then at one point I was almost confused because I was just like, is she trying to be his stepmama?
Yeah, I was like,
and then I'm like, but she's wearing a school uniform.
So
I'm like, hello.
So she does this I think one of the evilest things
because she's very vindictive towards Shiro before even jumping the dad's bones. Like,
and this is how you know that this was like an evil manipulative character because bitch, she only fucked with things that she knew she would have control over, aka somebody younger, aka a child, bitch asshole.
Electric chair.
Where that?
Fucking bully ass bitch.
So then this bitch one day she tells Shiro to play hide and seek, right? And then go ahead. Because if I speak on it, I'm about to read this whole to death.
Okay, so here's the thing. This whole hide and seek game apparently is something she's done before, so she knows where he likes to hide.
Stank, bitch, manipulative.
So she has him hide, which she knows is going to be in the cabinet. And at the same time, she made up this rule where, like, the dad has to find them first, and then whoever is found first loses. Well, she obviously was found, and put herself in a view where she could then do some nasty stuff with the dad in plain view of where he can see, where Shiro can see. And so it's like, not only is all of that happening, but Shiro is a child, and certain things
keep that in mind. He is a fucking child.
So, of course, as children sometimes discover certain things. So it's like, imagine like the parental figure, the adult figure that you care and admire so much
is not getting warped with this idea because you're
warped
being
with this idea of thing, and then on top of the acts that he commits in that little hiding space, and then for that fugly bitch to find him, see what the mess he's made of himself, and then for him to on top of that be like, ew, you're disgusting, you're nasty, you're dirty.
You see, at that point, I had the psychic connection where my sister told me telepathically, like, yes, girl, I know, keep reading. You cannot burn this book.
Even the translator note is just like, can we all agree, burn this bitch?
Burn that hoe to the ground. Because that made so much sense. Because it's like, bitch, you were literally traumatized by this dirty, fugly, nasty
by some
hoe.
random ass girl.
Literally, just because you were like, if I get you out the picture, then I can get my man. You could have done that anyways.
Oh, you sound like you slow.
You could have done that anyways.
The son don't got a pussy, and she's not attracted to the son, so like, what the fuck? This is why sometimes I'm like, well, yes, for good writing, because, we have to have a villain, we have to hate somebody.
Of course.
But
it was never about the dad. It was
Especially-
always about Shiro, because when they meet up later on, by chance, they like bump into each other when they're adults.
Hold on. We are not getting into that yet because, bitch.
Well, that's coming up.
Because I'm so because after that, then we can see the little journey of how, like, he found out, like, oh my god, there's people like me. Like, I'm starting to realize, like, let me put myself in this box. Because it was very deep. Because he was basically like,
well, there's a community for me, so I'm not alone.
Which was like,
because those people don't want to touch you either, girl. So like, is it really a community? But the thing that really is tragic about this too is that, like, yes, he was being tormented and everything by this girl, but it really severely impacted his relationship with his dad, because
he don't call her no more, don't talk to her.
Even as a kid, you know how sometimes parents just be like ruffling your hair. He can't even touch his son's head. He's like, don't touch me.
That's nasty.
Disgusting.
Which plays up a big part because the elevator scene was so impactful because at this time Shiro told Kuro something about, like, don't touch me, that's nasty.
Yeah, he called him disgusting.
Which was like, ooh. But then in the elevator, he clearly had a moment where he overcame that. He was like, no, like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm not calling you disgusting. I was just saying that
it's me.
If you touch me, like, I'm disgusting.
Bitch, and this is why we're a team Kuro, because Kuro takes him to this little place. And he said, bitch, I'm going to put your foot in my mouth. I said, better than me. Bitch, I'm not putting your foot in my mouth. But when you see him having an adverse reaction, he kicks the shit out of her.
Which, okay, let's be real. If my man
put my
foot in his mouth,
Kiku,
I would kick him in his face too. That's a natural reaction, so I'm sorry. For people who are ticklish.
No, ma'am.
No.
And then we get a little bit of Kuro's backstory, like how he literally went through this miss whatever
and
germophobia.
Why he's even attached, because there were moments where Kuro was like, well, why? Because Shiro brought up a very valid question. Why do you even care so much? And he's like, well, you have mesothelioma and blah, blah, blah. But like,
misogynistic.
Misogyny disease.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, is that really a valid reason? It's like, so what happens when I'm cured? Like, you're just gonna not want to be with me no more? And it's very much like he had a past with somebody who had that, and nobody paying attention to him at home.
So it's it kind of brought up that point of like, so do you like me or do you like the disease I have?
Are you fetishizing the issue that I'm having?
Which then, as we progress the story, we finally see Shiro drink from a cup of coffee. Because, girl, we ain't seen that girl do nothing.
Ain't nothing. He's like, let me treat you to lunch, but I'm not eating.
And then after we're finally getting on this scale of like, oh my god, thank god, everything is back. Ueda.
This fucking scut shows up.
Ueda decides to fucking be like, oh hey, I haven't caused enough trouble. Can I come with y'all on your thing? Let me treat you to some coffee because I threw my keys on the floor.
Oh, and you're handsome, so
what's that thing?
Why don't you ask me out if you get tired of having to deal with Shiro?
And this is one of the best moments of the manga, because when he chugged that coffee down, I was like, hey,
y'all girls better get lucky.
God, let's go! I'm a winner, baby. I'm a winner.
Whose coffee is that?
Whose is that?
Because immediately I thought, hey, you don't just like chug things down like that.
Period.
So it was like, and even Kuro, when he noticed, like, that little panel told me, I was like, girl, she just drank your coffee. Yeah, you better come out.
And get this,
intimacy.
The entire time, like all the intimate moments leading up, he very much made a point where he's like, well, I guess kissing is out of the question because that would be too much for you. So we won't kiss until you clear number 9, which was sharing a drink with somebody.
I will never forget.
And then this dirty bitch Ueda talking about when he's like, he chugs the drink. He's like, okay, girl, give me a second. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Bitch over here talking about, like, she literally starts her manipulation game. Like, oh my god, he used to be so close to his dad. That's kind of creepy. That's when I arose from the background and just donkey kicked her in her throat.
And this bitch has the nerve to be like, oh, is Kuro a replacement for your father? And it's like, do you want to get choke slammed, bitch?
I would have definitely Falcon pounced
In
her.
the middle of this restaurant?
Sindel needed to come and just pounce her in the throat because... And then I love Kuro's response. It was the perfect, like, that's funny. I don't fucking like dirty bitches that open their legs on the first meeting. Bitch on the floor. Cackling. I was like... That was so funny. She was like, oh my god, no. And then she questions her. She's like, oh my god, did I get some fucking kink?
Am I gonna get a fetish for this?
Which I was like, you know what? Scar her back.
Exactly.
Finally, we get, like, we see the resolution of the thing. And we finally see Shiro try to do this boo-boo auntie kiss. Like, hi, thank you for bringing me lunch. And he's like, no,
give me that mouth.
We're not about to do this. And here's one of those points where, like, if you are really super, right, if you are really super, like, all the things, like, if you're, like, not at that point, she would have decked the shit out of her. She didn't do that.
No,
she didn't do all of that.
very much like this, especially when he's like, hey, girl, you drank my drink.
Like, hello. So then we go back and the scene where basically Shiro has a moment and, like, opens up and he sees Kuro cry, like, realistically and openly.
Because first of all, Kuro's whole thing is that his parents literally give 0 fucks about him. He purposely would do things that would get a reaction out of normal parents, you know, anger and disappointment and upset, and they wouldn't react anyway towards him. His dad's dismissive and his mom's just like, ugh, honey, buy me a new dress.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
So how he met the older man that had the same condition, he threw a ball at that man's window on purpose and fell in love with him there. And it's very much like he wanted the feeling of someone needing him, and it was very much that because Shiro was thinking him like, you know what, like, despite of everything, like, you know, I appreciate you helping me with this. And then we get a genuine feel of, you know, Kuro where he's crying because he's just like, you know, it's like, you very much need help, but it's like, I also need you though. And which it was very much like an acknowledgement of each other's, like,
I'm obsessed. And then we get to see the list of all the 10 things, which number 1 was touching the door knob, and number 2 was letting other people touch my things. 3 was buy a book on a bookstore. 4 was hold the straps on the train. 5 was sailing. What is it? Sailing at a restaurant? Seating? Sipping?
Eating at a restaurant.
Girl, can't read, you know. That's why it took me 32 hours. Then number 6 was shaking hands barehanded. That was the one that she was like, hell no.
Yeah, hell no. I gotta wear gloves 24/7.
When we got to 6, he was like, come on, Seth, I'm punching all you bitch.
Right?
Then 7 was touching another's belongings. 8 was drink after someone else, like, hello, that coffee that he chugged to the ground.
Sharing a drink with somebody.
Number 9 was let someone else into my room. And number 10, which was the gagger, because I thought it was going to be like a kiss or something.
I thought it was going to be sex.
Right.
Like, straight up.
But like a nice professional, Kuro, actually thinking about the well-being of Shiro, he was like getting patted on the head. And I'm like, that is so true.
But that is a trigger, though, because
that's true.
Randomly, I mean, it wasn't even like he was trying to imitate his dad or anything. It was just like a random, like, oh, haha, and then like ruffles his hair. But that was an instant, don't touch me.
Right, which is like, you know, I'm pretty sure he wanted to deal with the Trump, because if you had tackled all of that, then by that point you heard what. So, but again, I was like, I thought it was gonna be like, tongue me down, Haney.
Right, exactly. But let's also, number 10 has been blank this whole time because
True.
Number 10 significance is that it deals more towards the heart issue.
Oh, and this in chapter 48, one of the funniest thing that Kuro has done consistently all the time was his little like monotone, sarcastic, like, oh my god, I'm gonna poke a specific value in your armor to Shiro, when he was like, you sure hurt my feelings when you said that I was disgusting.
That is the truth.
And you know, she was like, oh my god, please, I didn't mean it to stop. I didn't say that.
He's like, no, but I never lied to you. He's like, I just, believed certain things. He's like, yeah, well, that sure did hurt my feelings when you said that.
We all know that Kuro is fucking with that girl to no extent. And then the last thing that I wanted is like, take your time and write them here, like,
for the next things that he wants to build memories with Kuro. And it's true, because it's like, even though they went through the list, that does not mean he's cured. He's just better at managing certain things. This is a whole ass journey, and Kuro's like, I'm here to stay, honey. What's the next 10?
And like, it was such a great way to bring a summation and like a close to the series, because I feel like we went through so many ups and downs. So for this series, because this is one of the ones we have to bring out the rating system. I'm personally going to give this one a 9 because it had such good storytelling, sex when we needed it to.
Oh, and a lot of it too.
And
it was a good build up to it. It wasn't like immediately he was getting dicked down like some of these problematic series out here.
Exactly. It was always like at a point where it was like a intimate power shift balance moment. So it didn't feel forced. It was a good storytelling. We didn't like the fucking bitch again.
Yeah, but you know what? It also dealt with not a severe age difference, but it was very much somebody, like, similar situation to what Kuro was going through when he was younger. Someone was an older person was like in this whole thing.
Well, you know me as the super experienced 36-hour reading Fujoshi. I think a 9 would be.
I think a 9 is fair.
Fair for like a.
It was because it's more of a grounded story.
Yeah.
And
I've read 5s. We've read 5s.
I've read
2s.
I've read 2s. But I think what I like about this too is that like they still, even though this was a more grounded topic about somebody's like mental condition like this, or phobias and stuff, but it did
explore that very well too.
But it also put in funny, fluffy moments, like those in between chapters where you get like the cute things and stuff. Like because throughout this series, there's so much serious shit happen, and then like the sex and stuff that you wish there was a little bit more,
a little fluff.
Yeah, so there was a lot of little haha moments.
But insert Kuro sarcastic remarks.
Insert Kuro sarcasm right there.
So it's literally like. So 9 out of 10 for this series, sister. Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh. And side note, back to the series, it's like,
come on.
I also love at the end, like, you do see, like, a progression. Like, I know that they're still kind of going through their thing, but the progression is there, because at the end, he calls his dad.
And I love that it wasn't, like, at the end, he was fixed, because he was literally like, oh, I know this is probably gonna, like, you'll probably never be cured, and even Shiro was like, I knew that.
First of all,
like,
I've been doing research on this fucking forever.
He's gonna like, girl, I have this. I know.
But he's making efforts. Like, he was at his office without his gloves, like typing. Even his boss
was like,
girl, where's your gloves? All day. Everybody, where's your gloves? Like, aren't you flipping out?
So
we like progress here.
We love it. So the things we're gonna end it on is, if there was a sequel, what would you like for them to tackle?
I would like for them to maybe put it in the reverse, because Riku needs to put his little 10 and
first name basis, bitch, because we're on to you.
So we need to put Kuro's 10 on there and maybe explore his attachment and like abandonment issues and strengthen on that.
And for drama, I would like for somebody another top to come in and understand Shiro way faster, so that because that's when the girls are like, excuse me, wait, he just came in here now.
Or it's like he's more agreeable with him, like he doesn't resist him too much, so he's just like, so you like him better than me?
Me? I will fucking destroy you. And it's like, no, but I'm used to you.
He's like, no, you want to throw me away. And it's just like, we love drama.
Oh my god, I think out of all, I'm the Fujoshi of chaos, and because usually it's you love the chaos, but when it comes to Yaoi, we are both the havoc and Fujoshi.
Yeah, I love drama, but I love a good makeup scene, and that's what I like. If we're gonna tear them down, you need to put them back together hella strong.
Alright, so for that 10 count, bitch, you get
a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 from us, and we expect a 20 count.